All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Odd Taxi, Episode 3. All right,
we got a gun.
Show. Yeah, it's dialing things up.
Yeah, that's right.
We're moving this right along.
We got the setup for the characters and who they were in the previous episode. You know, had a real good handle on them.
Yep.
But now, conflict comes knocking. Or in this case, click. You know.
Click.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, okay.
I think this is going to be, like, better than all the conversations he's had thus far in the taxi.
I think it might be.
There's so much that could be set up between these two that could get completely blown wide open in, like, a really cool way based on how they interact with each other.
Right, like, not even just, like, what kind of things they talk about, but, like, do they, how well do they previously know each other?
What is their previous relationship, if any?
Yep.
Because there's so much that this guy, who we still don't 100% know is named Dobu, but we're pretty sure that's who they were referring to when they were at the bar.
Right.
It was Goriki Kakihana and the owner of the restaurant, or the bar, the rabbit, basically there.
Yep.
And like, what does this tie into the fact that this guy's been stalking the taxi?
Yep. The whole thing of that Odokawa had the girl that died in his taxi, and he believed
the girl that disappeared.
Well, the girl that disappeared.
We don't know that she's dead.
Not necessarily the body that was thrown in, or the thing that looked like a body that was thrown into the river, strapped to the bricks and everything, but very much could be.
Yeah, we'll see.
And Odokawa thinks that she's at his place, but she doesn't necessarily seem to be. So
y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Okay, quick thing before we get into this discussion here.
Yeah.
I don't want to have this discussion go entirely into this theory that I've had for, like, the last few days or so. But after watching episode 2 of Odd Taxi, I had a really weird dream that gave me an idea because of the way the dream was structured about something that I feel like they've been hinting at in Odd Taxi.
Right.
That just got, potentially, triply, homed in on.
And the thing is,
it doesn't necessarily work as a theory.
Yep. And
it's just an idea.
Right, and he brought this up to me before we started the recording, because he was like, this is something that I don't think is going to happen. I'm not going to mention it or whatever, because it's too crazy.
It's too crackpotty.
Right, too crackpot. And the thing is that even if it doesn't end up being this exactly, it is relevant, whether thematically or otherwise, to
at least this episode's discussion.
Certainly this episode's discussion.
Yeah. So this episode was really good. It was, again,
awesome.
Really funny. Yep. I absolutely loved the scene with the rhinoceros.
That was
so
good.
Kakihana having the he was on the phone the whole time.
Right, it's you're playing a video game, or you think you are, but you're actually not. Yeah.
It's funny as hell. It's brilliant, like, flashpoint storytelling, where then we get to have the other perspective to seal in the joke again, to almost double down on the same punchline by seeing Kakihana, like, perk up and lean in to give his commentary or response at the same time that the rhinoceros is getting the exact timed responses of sorts, but from Dobu. Okay, really cool. Also getting a couple other things confirmed by the way that they set up the stuff in the previous 2 episodes, with the way in which the Nerima girl's disappearance is connected to a lot of the parties involved here.
Yeah.
But is also, on some level, getting a bit swept under the rug now because of the collusion with, like, some Yakuza-type people, the police, or specifically the way it's being handled with the police, because it's not that Big Daimon is a big
Diamond,
deal.
That's his name.
Yeah, he's not, like, completely the head of the police where he can end this whole investigation, but it's the way in which all that is connected. It's getting wrapped up.
Right. But
Odokawa,
Odokawa
are kind of a badass.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Right. Yeah. So we can cover what happened in the episode first.
Before we go into crazy stuff. Yeah.
Totally a badass. His nerves when Dobu was in the car with him and everything, that was
Yep.
awesome. I love the whole thing of just the press the little button, SOS, right? You know,
Yep.
it's there you go. Keep driving. And he just happened to be so ridiculously unlucky
Yep.
as to run into the one cop
Yep.
in the city that he absolutely could not have it be.
Nope. Now,
Wow.
is that the kind of thing of where this is part of Odokawa's route, and this cop knows that Odokawa is potentially involved in things there, so he's actually more or less stalking Odokawa as well?
Or at the very least, it's in his like section that he patrols, right? So, you know, he just happened to be on duty at that time, right? And yeah, that could totally be a thing, right? And apparently his brother is really dumb, but also
there's an emotional connection to the lie that the brother used
of taxi drivers always lie.
Yeah, you can't
trust them. Yeah.
And specifically, this feels relevant to Odokawa because before the brother also said, remember, that guy
always
he lies
Yep.
constantly.
So
and then we had another kind of like flashback car crash kind of thing.
And the thing is that this seems similar to what we got from Odokawa as a flashback before,
but not in that red and black kind of shaded thing, showing that this also, I would say, is not Odokawa's flashback.
No, right. It is. This is big diamonds.
Right. No, I got that, but I was meaning that with Odokawa, there's an aspect of him being an unreliable narrator that always has to be put through the lens of the things that he, says or thinks about.
Yep.
So this thing, I think, definitely happened. Like it's 100% happened, but it's the kind of thing where it's also a potential reveal based on who it was that got really badly hurt or maybe even killed in this car accident.
Right. So yeah.
That's its own thing.
But the whole conversation between him and Dobu was great. The way he tried to get more information out of him, and then still was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to help you. That sounds like a lot of work. I'm still terrified." But Odokawa's face is so like stoic that I can't tell whether he's just like supremely disinterested or like barely containing terror.
Right, exactly.
And it's a really fun balance for the comedy, but also just for the conflict in general. So cool.
I loved the funny random bit where it looked like there was a cat
like crying tears of joy and like praising the sky because
they
he got the rare drop.
Great gotcha roll or something, and it was just like, wait, what? Isn't it like 4 a.m. or something right now? Well, and then just nearly dies.
Yeah, but so here's something that I want to throw out there
before we get into the theory stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, okay, but that's when we had a flashback to what seemed like a car accident and tied with you can't trust taxi drivers. Then we have a situation where Odokawa almost kills somebody. Like it's done for comedy of like, oh yeah, he's wanting to get to his date and the person found a rare drop, so they're just standing in the middle of the street. But that almost happened, right? Yeah. And I would not be surprised at all if the show slipped in something that is serious, plot relevant kind of a detail under the guise of comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so the final bit of the episode is primarily the stuff with Kakihana and Odokawa interacting, and then going in for the meetup with Shiho. So I want to bring up the theory now because I feel like this is where it becomes potentially a bit relevant. And also I'm unfortunately going to... I don't think I have to bring up the other form of media in order to draw a shorthand comparison. Do you think I should? Because it'll spoil a very beloved film for people that
what you could do is you could give a spoiler warning for it. And then...
okay. Yeah,
but there is actually something that also
you want to talk about before.
Yes. Okay, so there was also the scene. There was the scene where Odokawa and Kakihana were talking. Then there was also the scene where Odokawa met up with Shirakawa.
Oh,
and that was also a really sweet scene. It was a lot. It was hilarious. Cheesy in some ways, but then also just the whole like Bollywood thing and like the music for when she did like went into the martial arts thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was repeated, like there are just little things interspersed throughout the episodes, right? Where I'm just like, this show is fantastic, right? Like it's the right
crafted.
It's crafted
delicately,
and it's the right amount of like winking at the audience, you
Mhm.
know? Like
Yes.
cuz you could totally have something where you kind of do the break the fourth wall stare at the audience, you know, the joke of like the Kakihana like thinking that he's a part of the conversation, and then you go through the conversation again, and theoretically that almost might be a little bit jarring because it's like, yes, this is a,
Right.
you know,
we've already had the punchline.
We've already had the punchline, right?
Yeah.
But I love it. I love how
Yeah.
the show's put together, and yes, please keep it coming.
But now let's tear this whole thing potentially wide open, because
and
I've been feeling on fire with this show, and like feeling like I'm starting to get it, and it really took, in a lot of ways, a fever dream, a bit of a suspending of reality,
almost like, you know.
And because the thing, what it was, the dream basically was me inserting myself a bit into this story and finding out the ways in which I was kind of interconnected to kind of all the stuff. And I realized, wait a minute.
You like pulled a lung from Monster and you were like, I am the criminal. I am the murderer, right?
Yeah.
And then
guys, there's a movie that I'm going to spoil. And by just telling you what movie I'm spoiling, you're potentially going to get spoiled by this. So literally, if you haven't seen...
Well, before you say that, skip 20 seconds ahead or something like that if you don't even want to have anything potentially spoiled.
Yes. Okay. So there is a movie called Fight Club. And in Fight Club, there is a character who is kind of a loser. And yet, he has a very good friend that is a badass. Someone that basically can overcome anything just fine. And then they get pulled into this world of crime and craziness, and it's got a whole other spin to it. But I think there is a legitimate possibility that Odokawa is not real. And Kakihana is actually Odokawa.
Yeah.
And in fact, not only that, if you look at their specs, if you will, in this episode, a lot of the things that make them who they are as flawed characters are on the surface, extremely similar. Like, there's so many little things that point towards this. Now, the thing is that I don't think that this theory is actually 100% accurate, but I think I'm getting at the idea that Odokawa is the main character of this story
for a reason,
for very coincidental, piling up reasons.
Right, now, not just the fun thing of, he's a taxi driver, so he hears all these different stories.
No, I think that through the small little things that the story has been putting together, they're building up the idea that, one, Odokawa is an unreliable narrator and that he lies a lot. Two, he is taking psychotropic drugs that potentially ruin his opportunities for not just seeing reality properly, but also sleep. We see him multiple times basically staying up extremely late. We don't see his days reset.
Well, and one of the other crazier things about this that ties into the whole sleep thing is that we have precedent for this.
Yeah.
So, it's totally possible that Kakihana and Odokawa actually both exist as different people. But the parallels between them are very similar, and that's why they're being explored in tandem in the show.
Sure.
That's why they're friends in the universe, right?
Yep.
Like all these sorts of things could totally be good explanations for it.
Could totally work.
But the other explanation I would or example I would bring forward of something like this is A Beautiful Mind. In A Beautiful Mind, you've got this guy, and he's brilliant and all of that stuff, but his life is kind of dull, right? And then all of a sudden, nuclear plots from the Russians get brought up by, government agents and things like that and all this crazy stuff. And then he ends up realizing that a number of people in his life are figments of his imagination.
Yeah.
Right? And I could see something like that being the case here, now that you bring it up. But we literally already had that established when he thought he was talking to the girl that disappeared.
Yep.
And we're pretty sure was not actually there. So if that's the case, then we have to potentially extend that to other people.
Yeah. And I think the biggest form of this that is a very fun meta reason as to why this show not only exists, but why it's presented in this Rakugo style way, is that Odokawa in general is too dang witty to be like even really like a character that's believable. The speed and skill at which he banters is in of itself an own form of entertainment. But also, we don't really care as the audience who the characters are that are connected to it, in so much as that the exchange itself is so entertaining that we feel as if we're learning stuff about the characters through this exchange. But usually the things that they talk about are things that exist for the sake of the banter, giving them the opportunity to be really dramatic, exciting, fun storytellers.
Yep.
Which generally, I would say, in Rakugo, are not really based in real life, but based in the way to which they can dramatize the story to be as entertaining as possible, and then set up a narrative flow in which, by the end of it, there's been not necessarily a punchline or a joke, but some kind of realization of, this is why we went through the story. So Odokawa, as a character, is perfect for this. He is meant to interact by his station with an unlimited number of people. He has no real way of connecting with them personally. That in of itself is depressing as hell. But he has this skill, this powerful, like amazing skill to connect with all these people through the banter. We've seen this now with Goriki. We've seen it with Kakihana. Not as much though. We've seen it with the alpaca nurse. We've seen it with Dobu. Basically, almost everyone but Kakihana and him have that kind of like snappy, witty responses.
And by the way, if he ends up hallucinating about things, then theoretically some of those conversations where the other person is being really witty might not actually be happening, or it might not be going that way. Because like one of the things that I think I mentioned in one of the episodes previous was that because the characters are so witty, that also is something that could be jarring because it's something that very much doesn't feel natural. But for the entertainment value of it, you suspend your disbelief, right?
Right.
You know, it feels very similar to like a lot of Joss Whedon's writing, right? Where you have the characters.
I wouldn't draw direct comparisons to another person's writing.
Well,
but I know why you're saying that.
When you have characters that are like wittier than people are in just general real life, right? And in this situation, if you have characters that are also super witty and a lot of them are that witty and they have similar styles of wit, then that gets potentially a bit more suspicious.
Well, I would say I don't want to go into the comparison route with that. I think the point that you're bringing up is really good because you're bringing at it is that if this banter is throughout, there's a possibility it's that. The other possibility is that it's that this is the way that the story is just being delivered. If it's consistent throughout.
But
I would say that
examples where it's not.
Exactly. That's the thing I think you're trying to bring up, right? Is that if there's any disparity at all in that there are people that don't follow that, but the overwhelming majority do, why is that select few characters or character like specifically not following the norm of this world? So I would say that unless I'm missing some things with Kakihana, he is probably one of the few characters thus far that has what I would call a very normal, basic kind of aspect of being like, not like a loser, but kind of like a just the
kind of person that wouldn't have an anime written about them.
Well, no, the average levels of like wit in that regard.
Okay.
Like he seems to almost exist to set up Odokawa to look even better.
Right, and that is something that could totally still happen with him being a true separate person and everything, right? Because that character archetype definitely exists.
Oh yeah.
But like if you were to look at like because again, even if they are totally different people, Odokawa is not like, you know, seeing things that much or whatever, right? I feel like there's still a lot to be gleaned from the ways in which it would make sense if they were, if Kakihana was a figment of Odokawa's imagination, or the reverse.
I think it's that Odokawa is a figment of Kakihana's imagination.
Exactly. Yeah, and
in that
so
he's creating these experiences.
Right, he's the one that everyone is friends with. He's the one that is going on these crazy adventures.
And yet he's so snarky and kind of living his own kind of
right
life in the middle, I guess.
Well, and also being like bluntly honest with the people he interacts with.
Right.
It's yeah.
I even think back to some of the things in the first episode where he kind of gets like
Kakihana.
Kakihana, yeah, he kind of gets these scenes that connect him to people that it feels almost a little bit strange in the way they talk about other characters, basically.
Oh, okay.
When it could be like him describing himself, like the way they talk specifically about Odokawa.
Yeah.
Like at the bar specifically when.
And is that just best friend sort of sidekick type archetype character expositing about the main character? Could totally be that. But yeah, like the part was like Odokawa called me a quack, and he's like, haha, that's something like he would say, and then Goriki, because that's the other thing, Goriki apparently disappeared as well. He's like, could you guys talk to him too? Like, what about, like, tell him to go to a bigger hospital, something wrong with him, like. Yeah. Don't you think he's strange? While talking to Kakihana.
Yeah. It's the weird thing of where Kakihana is almost used as the stand-in best friend to be like, I can give the exposition as to why Odokawa is the way he is.
But that could also be him his own internal thoughts about himself.
Right, or his internal thoughts about that other personality.
Sure.
Like the other aspect of who he is.
Right, like if we get something where we find out that Kakihana at some point like tried out being a taxi driver, like who knows? Or even the part where Odokawa was like super cold when referring to Kakihana of like, Kakihana would probably be better off dead. It's like
here's the way I think we can if this theory has any semblance of sanity to it. The one way they can immediately end the theory is once Kakihana gets into the taxi with
Odokawa.
Because that shouldn't happen unless it's going to be revealed that is the theory. That's when it would be set up.
Sure.
Because every interaction that Odokawa has had, like in terms of other characters, has been with regards to some kind of functional thing for his life.
Okay.
The Kakihana interactions are more for like leisure and
or just sort of like reflecting on the day.
Yeah, reflecting on the day, general like just hanging out.
Right. Also,
which could be just because that's his only friend.
Yep.
Like
also, by the way,
I don't want to basically pigeonhole myself into this is the only way I'm seeing this world now because there's so many cool things going on that I wouldn't want to relegate it all to one ridiculous crackpot theory.
But here's another way of potentially looking at it, right?
Yeah.
Why did the girl disappear?
Why did Goriki disappear?
Well, yeah, that too. But
if
like
people in general start disappearing.
Oh yeah, totally. But like one of the other things that we were kind of talking about with like before the episode started is that I could kind of see Kakihana if he got really depressed, where we get like some kind of twist reveal where it's actually that he is the online dating killer, right? And that's what he's doing. And so, a high schooler disappears, right? And then a girl that's 18 matches with him and stuff, and he's really excited about, things and whatnot. Like, is there a possibility that, I don't know.
Yeah, but I would say that the ways in which this can be somewhat correct as a theory, but not
like actually what's going
specific,
on.
Is that Odokawa is going through a lot of rough shit here.
Sure.
And he ended up in a situation where he might have accidentally hurt someone or done something that he really regrets.
Sure.
And he might have, as of like recently, because there's some backstory stuff as well, potentially tied to what, is going on with him, those little flashes, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like if he
there's
did a
ways
hit
you could
and run or
interpret
something
that
like
too.
that.
Like I think that is something to showcase that we are going to have revealed by the end of the story the reason why Odokawa needs the drugs, why he's the way he is, and that's something that could involve some kind of dramatic twist reveal. But it's not that he's actually Kakihana or Kakihana is actually him, but it's that the stuff that he's been doing has been a way to cope and distance himself from humanity. Thus, he doesn't worry about dying as much.
Yep.
But
He spends his nights alone in a park all through the night.
Yep.
Yeah, like that. Because
there's so many things that all feel like they could tie into some aspect of Odokawa being this really down on his luck, unreliable narrator who's trying to find ways to cope or medicate his way through his life that's just gone to shit. And yet he's ending up more and more alone, despite the fact that he might be genuinely connecting in really powerful ways with people, that he'll end up missing out on the opportunities that present themselves to him through that. But it all could be some aspect of his imagination. We'll see. We'll see.
Something else that, so the other thing that I thought was kind of on, like, on the nose with this theory is, so with the whole meeting with Shirakawa, right?
Yeah.
And there's the idea of, okay, she might not have actually been there. He can't sleep, you know, all that stuff.
Yep.
And so he just imagines that he's talking to her. Now, she might still be an actual legit person.
Sure.
But maybe she's just like the nurse who gives him his meds.
Yep.
And then suddenly in his mind,
he's attracted to her.
Right, exactly. And then in his mind, in this sort of alternate universe that he's constructed, she's actually a drug dealer or something, right? And then she's taken a liking to him for some reason, right? You know, because she's where he gets his either his fix
or just his respite,
or his respite, where
from just this
he
world.
can feel sane, you know, like who knows?
Yeah.
But
also, I really loved the way in which, when he targeted his friends, he did the bluff thing of, I don't care about Kakihana, he should probably die.
Right, like that's
like, I'm sniffing what you're putting out there, Odd Taxi.
And
there's
the thing
something there.
The thing
and
that,
it's just
right.
which trail am I going to end up following here? Because
what's tough is that the stuff that's out here could actually just be done, like the whole thing of, oh, he should just die, he'd be better off dead. That could actually just be a comedy bit. Right? Yeah. That could totally be a comedy bit. Or even like the whole thing of the people being witty. Is that actually because he listens to the people on the radio? And like when they were in his taxi, was he actually just fantasizing that like, oh yeah, I got to meet them, right? And that's why I always want to be witty, right? Because you know, the people on the radio, that one show that I listen to all the time, right? They're super witty, and I wish I was like them, or you know, who knows? Yeah.
And then when I finally meet them, I'm actually better at this whole thing than they are, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I give them advice on, you know, on things, and yeah. Like,
I also really like the way that this show so far seems to be setting up ways in which characters don't really have a firm grasp on the reality of their relationship with the other significant person in their life. There's a bit of a lie that's being perpetuated by an unhealthy behavior within one of them that then creates a separation of sorts that could potentially ruin the relationship. But because both parties aren't, you know, wanting to address it or confront it, it just slowly sits there and festers, that kind of pushes them away slowly.
The idol and the super fan, I feel like are another great example, because that's something where well, you could call the super fan as being maybe delusional, right? Not necessarily literally, right? Yeah. But, you know, even if it's just exploring that concept, right, of how people can kind of delude themselves, then that might be something where Kakihana and Odokawa, you know, even if they're two very distinct and separate people and all that stuff, they play into those themes at the very least. So, you know, even if we're seeing patterns and like drawing a completely incorrect conclusion, the foundational pieces that are there are still very much there. And I love,
what kind of picture are they drawing?
Exactly. Yeah. Right, exactly. We don't know necessarily what the show is trying to paint here.
And there could be a lot of red herrings.
There could be a lot of red herrings, but at the same time there is a structure to this that is downright beautiful.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's
it's
something
being very intentionally crafted.
Exactly.
And all we can tell is that it's being built.
Right.
And we just
But
don't
we're
know
too
how.
zoomed in to see the full picture.
Right.
now.
We're way too zoomed in.
Yeah, so
because I very much love the way in which little things get focused on. There were a lot of side little things that felt like, okay, this could be relevant later. But you remember in the restaurant near the end there, they made a very interesting point of showing the same table a few times. You have the guy with the purple hoodie. It's only covering one of his
ears,
fox ears or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But they were shown like multiple times as like, oh, they're there doing this thing. It's just a little reminder for, continuity.
The
and
background
stuff.
people.
But like once they started scuffling and everything, they're the table that kind of looks on with this kind of thing of like,
Right.
Now, to me, this is the kind of thing where you go, good use of just environment to establish that what happened here was something that affected them.
Right.
It makes the world feel real and lived in. But from the theory point aspect of this, if they saw one person just kind of doing this,
or just they've been day drinking constantly, so they stumble and fall over.
Yeah.
They might respond the exact same way.
But one of my favorite things about this scene was that there are these little bounds by which we assume certain aspects of this scene to be the way that it is.
Okay.
But the way the scene begins, cuts immediately from he stayed up all night to suddenly he's in the restaurant with his best, buddy. He kind of enters in there.
Yeah.
But when the scene ends, it just fades to black and it looks like he has a headache. Like he can't, he just kind of looks away, almost like
and then it goes back to Kakihana when he drunkenly leaves late that night.
Which is weird because cutting at the scene where you have Odokawa being the final character in the shot to then showing Kakihana drunk in a different area.
And, that could just be Odokawa being uncomfortable at the situation with his friend and just being like, I can't look at you right now. And then Kakihana, because he's then ends up meeting up with Shiho, or I think that's her name, then naturally it would focus on him there. But, yeah.
But again, two really random rendezvous are, why are these younger, girls interested in us?
Right.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing of the managers.
And one of the guys that, he doesn't even seem like a manager. He just seems like a freaking
muscle. Like one of the security guards.
Yeah, he's like one of the security guards that was at the signing event, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so.
He looks like he's like, oh, you say the word and I will beat this guy senseless.
Sure.
So, okay.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I'm curious about, because completely separate from the whole theory of what's the mental stability of Odokawa,
let's end the theory
and Kakihana and all that stuff. We have something here where basically a no-name idol, right?
Basically no name. They're not popular.
Yeah, they're not popular. The group isn't doing that great.
Right.
But then on top of that, she is contractually obligated as a part of them going public to have a mask.
Yep.
And you can bet that she's not using her actual real life name.
Nope.
So nobody knows who she is.
So why are they following her?
So why are they following her?
Exactly.
They're and I get that the idol culture in Japan is all kinds of crazy, but there's no reason for anyone necessarily to know that this is her.
Right.
Right?
That's what we would assume.
That's what we would assume. I guess maybe there's the possibility of someone recognizing her voice or something like that. If the guy that she dates is a fan or something like that, then suddenly word gets out. But it's you'd think it'd be pretty secure.
Right. So the next thing is, what is the actual reason why they're following her?
Maybe they're doing it because we've noticed that her dancing was kind of sloppy like before and she's tired and all that stuff. So it's
what's going on in her personal life?
Right, you're messing around and goofing off in your personal life. Oh well, clearly, you got to stop that. We own you,
Yeah, that kind of almost slave thing, kind of
shelf life.
Yeah, but why are both of them there then? This is the part that I think is extra weird. Is the manager? I don't think would actually do this. I think the manager would tell the guard to do this, like the bigger guy.
Sure, yeah.
So
Peon, go, keep tabs on her.
keep
just
tabs
to,
on her
just
and
to
give
see.
me text updates,
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
what if this is actually like something way, way, way different?
Well, if the manager's here, that makes me think that he is specifically going to go up and confront her about it.
Well, because he could lose something. Like,
What do you mean? Like,
so think about it from their perspective.
Mhm.
They have something to lose, and that's why they're here.
right. Mm-hmm.
They're not looking to gain something here.
No.
They're looking to maintain at least status quo.
Right.
But what if it's that they stand to potentially lose something?
But what do you mean by that? Like
why are they both here? If you stand to lose something, but it's not necessarily like, it's. I feel like it's the thing of where you're right. He's going to confront her, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your point is that no one should know that she's the idol, right?
Right.
And she probably wouldn't tell anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And if she did, then it would be too
Yeah,
late.
like
so,
if anything, it might be something where I could see the manager being like, since this is just a part of the culture for the whole idol thing, is you're going to be dating people, we need to know about it, or something like that. Like you didn't get permission from your boss basically before you do this thing that could negatively influence your job, right?
Yeah,
because then oh no, this person that's an idol is in a relationship and that whole mess, right?
Right.
And then as far as why the other guy's there, it might just be that I'm
gonna scare the.
Oh, sure. I might scare off the guy that she's with, or I'm a well-off person out late at night.
Okay.
I
wanted to bring up the idea that there's a comedy and a potential like angle to this that is bigger because they know everything about her. They know who she's matched with, and they see someone with an income of 20 million yen and all this other stuff, and they go, oh shit, there's potentially something nefarious going on here. So it's not that they have something to lose by her just saying that she's an idol person.
But like they could lose her as an idol.
They could literally lose her.
Gotcha.
And it's the kind of thing where the unintentional, like, hilarious coincidence of this is that if Kakihana is the actual like
potential killer, or at the very least kidnapper,
or like the personality of Odokawa that is the one that did this whole thing, and that's why he dreamed the thing in the first episode, and that's why that was the first scene. And
yep, exactly, right, because first scene's most important.
Is that they'll actually end up focusing on Kakihana and being like, you're a problem.
Sure, and then as a result of that actually, even if they don't find out that maybe that was the case, right? It saves Shiho's life
potentially
because then then suddenly like, and this is all on the thing of if Kakihana, a whole myriad of things, right? But then it's the I need to act natural and stuff and just have this be a regular date. But also the whole thing of the fight in the bar. Yes, it could just be Kakihana day drinking for a very long time and then stumbling out of his chair, but it could also be the self-hatred angle of, oh, why am I lying about this stuff? Oh, I should be able to get someone with just my regular stats. Like a whole myriad of things. All the things
Misery loves company.
Misery loves company, right?
Stuff. That's probably why.
No, but basically the idea of if one is a figment of the other's imagination, then that means that the things that they say to the person are really the person saying it to themselves.
I just wanted to also bring up just the idea that Kakihana is already doing essentially what could be the twist by basically creating a profile that is not him to get what he wants out of life. It's a simple, very basic version of things that also everyone does, and it's also the thing that ties in Blue Hippo Boy in that the stories people tell on social media are usually fake to try and garner the most excitement or personal feeling of the whole thing of importance.
And that would tie into the whole thing of like, the police talking about how, you can't trust him, you can't trust him, you can't trust him. Yeah. But Odokawa's actually been very truthful, and it's Kakihana the one that's constantly lying. So,
Wait a minute. Was it Kakihana that complimented Odokawa when he's at the bar by saying he says everything like he just says like he tells it like it is or something like that? Don't you think he's strange? I've always wondered about
He's always
this
been
scene.
strange.
Yeah, he hates people and is sarcastic.
His parents abandoned him.
Of course, he's twisted.
Right.
Not that. It's something more fundamental.
Which
Here
is
we
like,
go.
maybe he's crazy.
Oh, okay. Think about it. I saw Daimon the other day. He said something odd.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, huh.
Talking to someone when he supposedly lives alone.
Right, but that's just the Odokawa is mentally unstable and might be seeing people that aren't there, but not necessarily that it's Kakihana. But yeah. Huh. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. This is only 3 episodes into the show, right? So there's all kinds of things that we'll still get and learn about the series and what direction it's going to go and things like that. But it's something where like. I feel like the episodes that are going to come after this are just going to go deeper into things that are already established, right? But they're not necessarily going to bring up fundamentally new ideas, unless it's just making us realize that yes, those are the things we're actually going for. But like anything that because this show is so well written and so well designed that these vibes that we're getting, I feel like they have to be intentional, even if the conclusions are wrong. The patterns are there. But.
Yeah, I love the idea of communication and the ways in which people stretch the truth to basically get by in life. Like that seems to be a core aspect of almost every character, and it's played up in the Rakugo style dialogue, fun storytelling stuff. But I just oh man,
okay. So,
I feel like I'm on a trail or something.
right. I don't know yet. So last thing pretty much I want to say for this episode, but then also kind of for this theory at the moment.
Sure.
This theory does not need to be the case.
No, it
right?
doesn't.
Because
this story can be super entertaining
without without anything like that, right? It does not need that. It is absolutely fantastic, right?
Yep.
If it does do this, though, that I could absolutely see that being the reason why people are so in love with this series, right?
Oh, because the reason why we got recommended it.
Because can you imagine if because like if we're wrong,
I feel like that's also a bit of a meta thing as to why I'm on the nose. Like I'm like hypersensitive to potential kind of twisty things like that because of our nature to theorize and discuss things way more sometimes than it necessarily needs to be discussed.
Sure, but like
on the kind of ending the theory discussion side of things, I think that this show has struck a wonderful balance of being very funny, very dramatic, but giving, I would say, very good modern commentary on the state of our just society in general with regards to human connection, relationships, storytelling, and very, very good fundamental ways in which people connect. And given that our main character is someone that's going to consistently connect with people, I want to have every single character in this story end up in his taxi at some point.
Same.
I feel like that's a very obvious meta thing that could happen. But like you're saying is that the idea is that if they're going to eventually stop introducing new characters, basically, which I don't think is going to happen because they introduced one. I think finally introduced the last character from the OP that we hadn't seen.
Yeah, spiky hair guy.
Yeah, he's looks like a porcupine. He's someone that
rival
tied to
Dobu.
Yeah,
cool.
He's awesome. Someone that could be a very real problem going forward.
Yep.
But I am excited to see these exchanges go, regardless of what the plot carries the carries with the context of these interactions.
Yeah.
Because while we just had a conversation where a guy had a gun pointed at Odokawa throughout a good chunk of it.
Yep.
The fact that Odokawa didn't break character,
Uh-huh.
if you will, the whole way through, except for when Shirakawa was mentioned. Like,
Yeah, that's
it's an aspect of curiosity, but also like humanity for Odokawa that we kind of haven't seen really. There's this aspect of him that feels so aloof and just tired.
right.
And
He's a very compelling character.
he's a very compelling character.
Completely aside from any psychological,
But he's
mental health issues.
He's such a lovely contradiction of the stoic protagonist
Mm-hmm.
that almost can't shut the fuck up sometimes.
Right.
And yet
Yeah.
it's like, wait.
Yeah. Which is which? How do those reconcile? Like the
But do you
reconciliation.
realize what we just said, though? To not go back into the theory.
No.
But he has these two contradicting sides of himself.
Yeah.
How do they reconcile?
Yeah.
Ah!
So
This show!
and so like okay, something about me personally and my taste with stories.
Okay.
I know I said this that the previous thing was the last thing about the episode, but this isn't really about the episode.
Okay, yeah,
Not
bring
really.
some personal stuff into it. Yeah, go for it.
I'm not a fan of mysteries generally.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't want the conflict for myself to be something of how did it happen, or no, sorry, what happened. I want it to I want to see the journey of how it happened, right?
Sure.
Rather than just being told about it.
Uh-huh.
I want to watch it unfold.
Yeah.
And with something like this, having it open with potentially showing us who is the person that kidnapped the person and maybe disposed of the body and all of that stuff, right? With the
Yeah.
scene of the package sinking into the river, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely the kind of thing that I could see making a bunch of people be like, oh, but then do we kind of know the mystery already, right? But the fact that it's like, hey, even if you figure out in episode 3 that what if it's Odokawa or Kakihana or whatever,
Yeah,
something
'cause
like
I'm sure
that, right?
plenty of people immediately on the first scene theorize that Odokawa
Right.
is the killer.
Because he was like, he woke up
He
from that.
literally woke up dreaming about that
The
kind of
body
stuff.
being disposed of, right? So
So
that's
it's not
that's
necessarily
kind of on the nose,
Yeah,
right?
it's not necessarily even that the story is about some dramatic twist of who done it.
Right. It's about why and
Yeah.
how did it happen and all of that, right?
Yeah,
The
that's a
journey,
journey.
the journey that brought us to that, the story of it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something I can absolutely get behind. Even if Odokawa isn't the person who did it or anything
Yep.
like that, we can still have a whodunit reveal and it's actually someone surprising and new and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with the character stuff that's been established thus far
Yep.
in the show, in these first 3 episodes,
Oh,
my God, I love this show.
it's brilliant
It's
writing.
amazing.
It's just
So good.
It's just making me like
Uh-huh. Yeah.
nut with like
Oh yeah,
just
because this
enjoyment.
is absolutely like 110%
my kind of show.
right? Like absolutely.
This is everything I loved about Bacano, but actually better. Like
Hot damn.
I mean, it is.
No, but yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. yeah.
Bacano's problem is that it's not as
It's too chaotic.
Well, no, I would say it's not as immediately entertaining, I would say.
Okay. All right.
Pacing wise, Bacano has some pretty janky ways in which they build up by kind of giving you the things at the beginning that are the end at the beginning. That
Right,
whole thing.
yeah.
The convoluted timeline aspect of it gets a little bit wonky. And with this, it's a very linear, simple narrative.
Yep.
It doesn't crack under the weight of its own ambition, and thus I feel the more human side of the story come out through the interactions.
Well, and I think that's something
that writing, Bacano doesn't have that.
Well, right, and it doesn't even try to. I would
No,
say
it doesn't.
because Bacano is like a Tarantino film. It's an
It's
action
absolutely a
spectacle
Tarantino film.
and it's
Yes.
fantastic, right?
Yes.
But this is another thing that I very much appreciate. It's not about and I kind of talked about this in the previous episodes of the discussion, but it's not about the fact that Dobu had a gun
Yep.
and was pointing it at Odokawa. It's not about whether or not he could kill him. Of course he could, but he's not going to,
No.
right? And why won't he do that, right? That is infinitely more interesting. Well, or
I'm telling you, he even called the gun a toy.
no. I think Dobu actually was in. Well, no, okay,
Dude,
no. So
dude,
no,
that's
he
the
could
thing.
totally have still been in the taxi and then just, but it's Kakihana in there or something like that. Like,
knows? Either way, it's just so cool.
This show is crazy. It's trippy. It's wonderful. It's and the characters are a delight.
Yeah, I'm invested
an absolute delight.
So much.
The Bollywood joke killed me, and the joke at the beginning with Kakihana, not seeing reality for what it was. No, I know that's reaching, but like I got splinters under my fingernails from that. No, but that was so good. Damn funny. Even though they repeated it, they went back through the scene again.
Yeah.
And all we got was the other person on the phone, and just seeing him give the reactions to everything. I love it. I love it.
Also, do you think that was Kiryu?
Yes. No. So the
I recognize the voice actor. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was like,
it was just like, wait a minute.
Which is so fitting of like we're gonna have a Yakuza type guy. But like that, I'm like 98% sure that was Kiryu because which
would make it an extra funny joke of like
an extra funny joke
Yakuza guy.
But also like you
voice acted by the Yakuza guy.
Right. Like you don't mistake that voice. That sultry like it's yeah. If that's not, please tell me who it is because I need to clearly like watch more of their stuff because they have such a sexy voice. But like that's Kiryu. Like, yeah. And I just I love it. Yeah. If you're gonna have me listen to someone speak the same thing twice in a row, have it be Kiryu. I mean,
I want to say also that there was another thing that felt oddly placed and focused on more in this episode in the taxi than in other ones. The little heart pen that was on the little window flap thing at the top, it felt like the kind of thing that didn't fit for him to have. I want to throw out the idea that it's a potential thing that the Nerima girl gave to him. And it's something that is just in his car.
Or at the very least just being a memento from someone else. Yeah.
Yes, but the idea that it looks like it could also be a thing that's a young girl's who's potentially also in the idol side of things. Just because it almost looks like that magic wand and boop.
Oh, okay. Like it was a very like cutesy kind of.
Well, right. It felt like a piece of merch rather than just a pen that anyone would have. Let me show you the image of it because it
well, what I thought it might be because I
extravagant for
I couldn't remember if it was something that was in the previous episodes or not, but I thought it might just be a secondary dash cam, like equivalent something, like an audio recording device or something like that. Because he's like, okay, clearly the dash cam, I can't trust that because people know to go for that.
Yeah, that's true. It might be a thing that's new, but let me show. Right about here. Yeah. So okay.
It might not even be a pen. It looks like.
No, I would say it definitely has.
It's got like a little
longer,
heart.
Yeah, there's a little
heart character thing.
But see these little clamps that come on the other side.
Yeah, a little clasp. Yeah, that looks
that's the kind of thing that would be like the cap that would come off.
Well, yeah, the thing that clips onto the paper. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But doesn't it look like more like idol merch than actually?
No,
like...
it totally looks like some kind of cheesy business mascot of like. Because, like, the bow almost looks like a shirt, and then the heart like a head with a face on it and everything.
And actually, just because that was the last episode, I'm just going to check to see if
it was, like, shown on any of the stuff.
Yeah, just seeing what they signed stuff with.
Well, because the thing is that we don't have any reason to believe that the girl who got kidnapped was an idol.
I don't think she was, necessarily.
I don't think she was either.
But I will say that she was young, right? Like high school age?
Yeah.
And the connection of the idol group.
Why is the idol group in the show? Kind of thing. Maybe she was a fan of theirs or something like that.
Yeah, or
yeah.
Or yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Yeah.
But okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
Wait.
Did you see that?
Hold on.
Wait a minute. Did you see that?
Who
took that picture?
Did Kakihana take the picture? Or because okay.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Okay. At the point when that happened. Yeah, no, Kakihana takes the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, he takes
Actually,
the picture.
that hold on. That actually might be the proof that that's not the case because oh man, after we talked about it so much and everything. But
then why does he have Did he send him the picture?
Because the picture is where the proof is all the time, right? In any kind of situation like this. So unless he actually set up the phone to take a picture, like take the picture automated or something like that, which didn't seem like there was anything in that space where he could have done that, then...
So then did he send him the picture after he took it?
Well, no, but when he showed the picture, I guess the person that was in the taxi with him didn't see the picture that he pulled up, did they?
No.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring up the idea that it's like, well, wait, why does he have that picture unless he sent it to him? But then the picture above it, like we're way in the rabbit hole
I
here.
think he would have just totally sent the picture to him, I guess, or.
But yeah, the other picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he sent it to him.
Yeah. I think we're off in the weeds. I think we're off in the weeds.
Really off in the weeds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was fun having a bit of a wild romp here. Thank you all for really checking out the discussion
with this craziness.
Way potentially too into this.
But the thing is,
hey, maybe this is part of the genius of the story, is that you get roped in by the idea of this kind of stuff, but it's like, no,
the thing is, I could totally see that picture being something that's important.
Yeah.
You know,
where it was somewhat important.
Oh, right, because the lotto numbers and all that stuff, even though we don't, as far as we know, they didn't win. But
well, no, I think that's the thing, is that that's something that will come up later. Like that, not enough time has passed in order to have that become relevant again.
Right, but
this show is driving me crazy. So y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.